he put a message out saying, anyone fancy a hike? So I really stupidly answered yes, alright.
It was just a fun, groovy kind of, like everybody always calls it, nerding man,
Yeah.
But to see all the different teams and all the different luminescence projects they built and how they created their visual version of what Ingress meant to them, it was beautiful and amazing.
Greetings, Ingress agents, and welcome. I'm a little bit late to this week's episode, but I'm making up for it with some great guests. We have members of Arcana's Tricksters from Camp Navarro 2 years ago, and we also have someone who climbed a mountain for the Tessellation. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about what's going on this week in Ingress. Or is it Pokémon? Maybe it's both. Portal scanning, which was introduced for Ingress about 2 months ago, is now coming to Pokémon. Along with this announcement, Niantic also said that they will introduce something called reality blending. Reality blending will allow Pokémon to appear more naturally around way spots. We're still not sure what any of this might mean for Ingress, but it gives a good insight into some possibilities. Also in the world of Pokémon, Niantic announced yesterday that the Pokémon Go Live event that originally was going to take place in select cities around the world is now going to be replaced with a global event that anybody can participate in. While they still haven't made any announcements regarding the postponed hexathlons or anomalies, this does open the world of possibilities that there could be a global Ingress event too. So we'll stay tuned and hopefully that will happen and we can get back on to having some events. Also in the world of Pokemon, Niantic released some backgrounds that can be used on Zoom for both Pokemon Go and for Harry Potter Wizards Unite. They didn't release any backgrounds to be used for Ingress, but that's okay, because the Ingress community is always on it when it comes to having great artwork released to the public. So you can search Google, you can find some really great ones. Here are just a few that I found, like this one, and this one, and this one, all by people with way more talent than I have. But I also did a few of my own, so of course you can use the background that I use all the time for talking to my agents. You can also use this one, featuring some hexagons reminiscent of the Tessellation, or this one, which is an oddly cross-factional portal. Whatever you choose to use or contribute, go ahead and put some more links in the comments. That would be cool, just to show off all of your Ingress spirit. Also this week, we saw a new release of the Ingress Scanner client. Now, this release doesn't have much in terms of actual gameplay features. It's mostly some bug fixes for some iOS users. But our friends over at Fev Games found some really interesting things digging into the code. We've been teasing for a couple of episodes now about the battle mode and the battle beacons that were appearing. But this release is definitely ramping up the speculation by having a few more things hidden in the code. Fev Games was able to find evidence of something called a drone mode. This seems to be related potentially to remote viewing of portals. Other agents have actually managed to activate this drone mode by accident in the new release, so it's definitely a thing that's in there, even though we don't know what it's for, and it is definitely not for spoofing to portals. Please don't do that at all. But this new drone mode could have some really interesting things when coupled with the other rumors about battle beacons. The other thing that Fev Games found in the latest teardown is evidence of achievements. Now, at first glance, that might sound a lot like badges that we already have in Ingress, but this is a completely different part of the code. So we'll have to see what this actually turns out to be, but we could find new ways of gaining achievements along with battle mode. Of course, there's also some evidence of a long-rumored subscription mode in the code. I am certainly hopeful that by the next release we'll actually start to see some of this rolling out and maybe get some insight from official Niantic channels on what this is about. Also, don't forget, the Ingress First Saturday is on June 6th. It will be virtual again, just like it was in May, but hopefully this time the virtual portal hunts will actually be live. So look forward to some new events in Ingress First Saturday. I'm certainly going to be participating in my local First Saturday, and I hope you will too. As the Tessellation nears the end of round 11, I thought it would be nice to take a look back on some of the early rounds of the Tessellation. While right now the actual physical targeted portal drops and live drops have been replaced by virtual versions of the same, and today the Resistance did an amazing job of capturing the live drops very quickly by virtually racing around portals in Washington, D.C. to try to find a mission that led everyone to the final media drop. Back in October, we were still physically going to portals. Over last weekend, I sat down with Agent Mantlewin, who climbed Arthur's Seat in Scotland not just once, but twice in the hopes of scoring a tessera for the Resistance. Her 2 trips were ultimately unsuccessful, but it led to valuable intel that allowed her team to recover the tessera. So, here's her story in her words. Welcome, Agent Mantlewin. You're an agent who played an important role in the Tessellation. You climbed a mountain in Scotland not just once, but twice to help the Resistance secure points. Can you walk me through how you came to be involved in the first place?
Mainly started because I couldn't sleep. So it was about 4 o'clock in the morning and I was awake and I was looking on Telegram because I had nothing else to do. And one of our agents, he put a message out saying, anyone fancy a hike? So I really stupidly answered, yes, all right. And he said, I got added to various chats to do with the tessellation, and information was being me, and before I knew it, I was in an Uber on my way to Arthur's Seat.
So you went up the first time, and there was no media on the portal.
No.
So that was a little disappointing. But then you decided to do it a second time. Tell me more about that.
Well, when I went up the first time, it was before we'd had the final clue drop that said, these are the dates and this is the time. And then during that day afterwards, we had the second clue drop that had the dates and the times. But we weren't sure. Niantic being Niantic, we weren't sure whether we should still try it anyway, and just to make sure. The second day I was a bit more prepared. I actually remembered to bring a change of clothes. The first time I had to go back to my house before I went to work. The second day I booked clothes so I could change at work. But yeah, I was just stupid and agreed to go twice.
So then you knew exactly when it was going to be. You had the time, but you couldn't go on this last one. But were you following along when everybody?
Yeah. So we managed to actually recruit a few people for the actual trip up on the Friday. They had a bit of advanced warning and what have you. So I was on my way to work on the tram, and I can see Arthur's Seat on my journey to work. So I was kind of watching it and thinking, oh, they're walking up. It was a lovely sunny day, crisp, bit of ice on the ground. And I had to go up on the slightly wet, damp days in the rain. But yeah, I was following along. It was a really good feeling when they finally saw on the thread the post the picture of the Tesseract. And a little bit confused why the Resistance posted exactly at the time the data dropped, and then there was nothing from the Alliance.
They were there at the time, right?
They were there, but they were late.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that came out of me going earlier in the week was we realised the road around Arthur's Seat doesn't get opened until after dawn. So the Alliance didn't know that. So they tried to show up on time, but they found the road was closed, so it took them longer to get up the top. So they were late to the drop.
So your recon was really important.
My recon turned out to be important. So even though I didn't get anything personally out of it, like getting the data drop or anything exciting like that, I did get the important piece of recon that meant that we were first.
So you were still a pretty new player. You've been playing less than a year at this point.
Yeah, I started January last year.
Yeah. So what made you decide to start playing Ingress? And when you did start playing Ingress, did you ever imagine you would be asked to hike at 5 a.m?
Well, to be honest, I started playing Ingress because I was bored of playing Pokemon. And I obviously, because of Pokemon, I knew about Ingress and I knew there were portals and things. So I had a vague idea about the game, but I wanted to play something different. Some people start playing because they want more Pokestops, and I just played because I was bored of playing Pokemon. And I really love Ingress. I think it's such a simple little concept of making little triangles between portals is just really incredible what you can do with that. I mostly just play locally, but I really enjoyed traveling and meeting people. Like, I've made so many friends through this game. They being able to communicate through the game and Telegram and all the rest of it, the communities that people have built up, because there aren't thousands and thousands of players like with Pokemon, you can really build close friendships, and you see someone's name in comms or whatever and oh, I know that person. Even if you've never met them face to face, you feel like you know them.
Is there anything else that you want to say to the world?
Stay safe, wash your hands. Hopefully you'll come out of lockdown soon. I hope you're all doing all right, and keep playing Ingress.
Thank you so much. Also this weekend, I sat down with agents who participated in Camp Navarro in Northern California 2 years ago for Epiphany Night, which also occurred in Germany. These agents were members of Team Arcanis Tricksters, along with myself, and they have some really interesting stories, so let's hear it from them. So welcome to both of you, and thank you for joining me. You were both members of Team Trickster at Navarro in 2018, 2 years ago. Can you tell me a little bit about Epiphany Night and Camp Navarro and what that was all about?
Well, for me, I was the POC for the Tricksters that particular year. And for me, it was just about getting all my friends together and just having a really good time. And it really came together well. We had so much fun. And they're just, I don't know. I think it was much better than the first year as far as there was no drama with the other team, you know, the other faction and stuff like that. So that was a plus. It was just a fun, groovy kind of, you know, like everybody always calls it, nerding man, you know. So it's a lot of fun.
So on that nerding man point, so agents built their own portals. Can you explain a little bit about that and kind of how those projects came to be?
It was a bunch of us together that kind of came up with the actual style, and then the final look I would totally give credit to Cog for, because he kind of made a little paper fold out thing that is basically what we made large. And it turned out really cool.
Very cool. So the weekend was camping, and not everybody likes camping. I haven't been camping since I was a teenager, before Navarro. Did you have to sleep in a tent? How did that really work? Was there running water?
There was definitely running water, and it was wonderful spring water, so it was clean and cold right out of the faucet. And we had Adirondacks is what they were. So basically one open side and the rest of it was wood with bunk beds. So there was a few people that did come and bring their tents with them, because we kind of ran out of room with how big our team was. We had over 50 members, which is pretty big. So, but most of us got to be in the bunks, which was pretty nice and kind of convenient.
So, Earth Traveler, this was your first experience in 2018. Did it meet your expectations? Did you like it?
Oh, definitely. It was much more intense than I thought it would be. It wasn't just camping in the woods. I got to meet a lot of people that I hadn't met before in person, but to see all the different teams and all the different luminescence projects they built and how they created their visual version of what Ingress meant to them, it was beautiful and amazing.
So other than, actually working on the PLPs, what else did you do while you were there? Did you do any other events or any, I know there was archery, there were other things. Did you do any of that?
The only thing I got to do was, I went with you. We went and did that escape room. Remember that? Yeah. And I think I got to do the tour one night to see all of the different builds and that, but being the POC, I didn't get to leave camp much. I was there just kind of making sure that everything was getting done and running and swag and all that stuff was going. So
great swag. I actually have mine.
Yeah, I forgot mine. It's in my other purse.
How about you, Earth Traveler?
I do remember the night going out when they first opened all the POPs, the luminescence projects. I went from camp to camp and took a lot of pictures and explored and saw what they had built and what they put together, and they were some really amazing projects.
So anything else about Navarro for an agent who has not been to this event? what would you tell them to get them to go if there were such a thing again?
It just was a lot of fun to be there. I mean, I heard nothing negative from our team this time, so at all. It was all wonderful. So
yeah, I think I would describe it as kind of Burning Man in the woods, but with an Ingress flair. It was very exciting to go into this kind of a Wonderland or Ingress Fantasyland type of thing, where everyone around you are fellow Ingress agents and they're building what their vision of interactive Ingress world would look like. And it was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, most definitely.
Excellent. Well, that's all that I had for questions. Before I stop recording, is there anything that you want to add? Anything that you would want to say?
Miss all the tricksters. I think we should just have a reunion instead.
Yeah.
Just have a camping trip that we all get together just because. You know?
For that, when we can travel again,
Yes, when we can travel again, I think we totally should do that, and we could probably even do it at Navarro. So.
I think Navarro was a great experience, but it's one of many, many experiences that we've all had and shared with friends in our love of Ingress and playing this amazing game, which is much more social than you would think from the outside. But yeah, just keep playing Ingress, keep connecting with your community, and keep having fun.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so very much. Once again, agents, thank you for joining me for Ingress News. For Not Niantic, I'm Agent Vinicon.